Trigger warning. Today's topic may trigger you. It may also have you have a further spiritual awakening to enlightenment. Today's topic is you are God. This is a statement that really can trigger a lot of people. So I want to dive deep into this, further expanding our consciousness so that we can live the truth. Welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. May you live your truth. Hi there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. E, Dr. Divinity, and Master Spiritual Psychology Coach. And today's topic is super near and dear to my heart. It may be the number one conversation that I'm in at all points in time, the highest value to have full enlightenment and full revelation in this lifetime. So I want to begin by saying that the intention of this podcast is definitely not to oppose anyone's viewpoint. I'm not here to say anyone's wrong. I'm not here to do anything other than just bring a new perspective to the conversation and the statement, you are God. One thing that I have really promised myself and committed to even deeper lately is committing to knowing that I'm here to speak my truth. I'm here to write, to speak, to really live the embodiment of what my truth is, which is something that is so important. It's my highest value in this lifetime. So today I want to go over a few things. Number one is my own personal journey to the statement, you are God, or I am God, or we are God, the evolution of that statement and my relationship to it. The second is, why are so many people triggered around that? And what does that actually do that challenges people? And why so many are opposed to that statement? And then I want to go into a metaphor that may help the conversation further, which is the game of God. It's actually based on one of my favorite books. It's really about recovering your true identity. And then lastly, layering on, maybe even throughout it, is the biblical and the science proof of you are God. So I want to first start with my own personal journey with the statement, you are God. First of all, again, as many of you guys know my story, I grew up in an anti-religious home. My mother definitely did not believe in God and definitely was against all religions, and really was more just an atheist. She didn't even believe that she has a supernatural power, right? So naturally, I had a real repulsion to even the word God in of itself. But at that point in time, of course, I never heard anyone say, you are God, or I am God, or we are God. I thought of God as some man in the sky that basically was judging me. And if I was worthy and I did all the right things, then maybe one day I would go to heaven. And then as time went on and I began to have my big spiritual awakening, I had my full term stillborn at 22, and I began to do deep, deep meditation. I was still anti religion, but I definitely knew that there was a spiritual nature to who I am because of seeing my stillborn baby. So I began to have this deep, deep relationship with meditation. I would go into literally a walk-in closet for hours every day and meditate and really expand consciousness. And then as time went on, I would have out of body experiences, all natural. I never took medicines or anything like that. It was just, I expanded my consciousness so much. And I began to really experience being one with the universe. In fact, there was one specific day that something happened. I had been meditating a lot. I'd listened to some talk about metaphysical and physics of where we see people. Do we see people out there and do their reflection come to us, or does it come from our eye? And how does that work? And I remember contemplating this, and I was laying on my floor in my master bedroom, and I was looking out the windows. And that day, there was this beautiful day, and these clouds were going across. And I remember thinking, wow, the Earth is spinning at, hundreds of miles per hour. So am I actually seeing the clouds rolling by, or am I actually moving myself, right? And I just was like contemplating this, meditating, and just staring up at the sky. And I remember I literally had an out of body experience, and I was laughing at the core of my beingness. It was like I had been told the joke of the universe. It wasn't in language. It was literally an out of body enlightenment and moment. And I was blown away. I really began to experience being one with the universe, really, truly not being this body, but really being one and all of it. And so through multiple experiences like that, meditating for many, many years, I began to really download and channel all the truths of the universe. And then what would happen is I would go out and I would have confirmation through biblical things, through science things. I began to research and research and research. And of course, began to become a spiritual practitioner, a minister, and a doctor of divinity. So it was, decades and decades of deep, deep spiritual work, along with research, along with all of it. So for me, I never used the word God. I would use the word source, spirit, whatever that is. And I've said before that God's not the original term. And that's what's so kind of bizarre about the Bible for me, is that God wasn't the original word, right? Yahweh or source or spirit, right? All these things that were more of the language. And so for me, I felt like there was a disconnect still. Whenever I'd read some biblical stuff, I was reading what was the top of subject, right? And then I began to dive deeper into the work and get confirmation of what had already been spoken through from source within my higher self. And I'd love to read some of these to you. Psalms 82:6 says, I have said, you are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. John 10:34, Jesus answered them, is it not written in your law? I said, you are gods. Then Luke 17:20 said, the kingdom of God is within you. And so I began to really wonder, why is no one talking about this? Why are people so triggered when anyone says, I am God, or you are God, or we are God? And I began to realize, like, what's missing? Why does it not seem like common sense? Like the source is within. So then, as I began to do all my really advanced studies and teachings, I was actually working in a spiritual center. And the minister at that time began to say, I am God. He was saying, look, we all agreed we need to start speaking this into existence and not having duality and not putting God outside of the self. So I remember he began to say, I am God. And I remember a lot of the congregation left. They were like, this is not the truth. This is too triggering. And they had to leave. And I was just so dumbfounded. Like, I was like, why? I was confused. It was like, it felt like such common sense. And it was all adding up to me, and I was like, why are people so offended by this? Why are they so triggered by it, right? So I began to ask, why are people so triggered by this? And so I invite you to kind of open up your mind. Maybe this is a confirmation for you, but maybe it is triggering for you. I'm not sure, but I'm here just to open and expand the conversation around it. So here are some of the reasons why people get triggered. After working and training over 10,000 soul-based coaches, the biggest work that we do is identity shifting. Okay. So whenever you're talking about a concept like you are God, then it's really challenging for someone, because if they are still attached to their ego or their limited identity or their body or whatever it is, they're going to have a really hard time shifting into this is truth, right? And again, the thing is I can speak all day. I can show you scientific data. I can show you biblical stuff. But the truth is that no one can teach enlightenment for you. People can preach to you, they can do whatever, but until you've experienced being one with the universe, until you've experienced being that God source, one with everything, right? Then it doesn't matter how much someone talks to you about it. It's just not going to become a real truth because you haven't experienced it. It's going to be a concept versus a truth. So another reason why so many people are triggered by the statement, you are God, or I am God, or we are God, is because there's a lot of indoctrination. And if your entire life you've said Jesus is the way and Jesus is, the only, the savior, right? Then for your entire lifetime, you've had a perception, right? Even in the spiritual industry that I was trained in, which is really the mysticism of all of it and understanding that source is within, the chart itself that I was trained with had, it's called the manifestation and creative chart. And it has a V that comes down, which puts source and consciousness on top. And then it puts through the filter of the triune nature. And then it goes into the body. So it is, spirit, source, through the soul into form, right? Or, spirit, mind, body. This is the triune nature. But again, this chart was making it above, which is the same indoctrination I had my entire life, which is God is outside, God is above, God is better than me, right? And this is the lie. So the chart now, we've moved the movement forward. Luckily, with unified physics and even Nassim Haramein's work, who's a dear friend of mine, really realizing that the truth of science is that it's a torus field. So in the center of every cell is what's called the 0 point field from a scientific perspective. And then this is what's coming out into the polarity. As Thomas Tord taught, spirit contemplating itself sets polarity into motion. So I want to back this up with the next conversation, which is a book that is not known at all. It's actually one of my favorite books of all time because it explains exactly how I see, and part of the explanation of you are God, I am God, we are God. And it's the cutest little book. It has like a Monopoly like set on the front, and it says the game of God, and it says recovering your identity. And so it has like all these little cartoon characters. And so the point is, it has a picture of God. Okay, so imagine God. God is all knowing. God is all loving. God is all, omnipotent, all wisdom, everywhere, everything, right? So how does God experience more of itself? The only way for God to experience more of itself or to be all is also to be all the inverted as well. So God inverted itself into divided fractals, right? There's divided and there's divine. God, we only think as divine, all oneness, but the truth is for God to be all and one with everything, it also has to be all the inverted and divided. And so you and I are experiencing being divided. We're experiencing being the fractal, the unique divine expression, and feeling limited. The only way God can be fully unlimited is to experience also being limited. So this brings me to the next part, which is understanding the multiverse, if you will. So if you think about it, at any point in time, wherever my consciousness is where I'm experiencing myself. So I can be feel like really identify with this body. I'm this person called Dr. E. I am this woman in this body. I'm experiencing being divided. I'm experiencing having an individual experience, right? Then I could also close my eyes and go deep into meditation, and my consciousness would experience oneness. It would experience being, all knowingness. And I could actually probably track into past lifetimes. I could track into people. I could track into because consciousness, these are the supernatural powers that we have when we go into that space, right? That's the experience of being God source, which is actually the neutral place that has all possibility, all consciousness, right? So I can experience, right? I'm the alpha and the omega. I am God and also the inverted experience of being not God, right? But the truth is that there's only one source. And we know this now. Science has proven this. In 2022, the Nobel Peace Prize for quantum entanglement was won by 3 scientists. And so we have to know that this is not woo-woo. This is not whatever. This is really just straight up truth. Remember that there's ultimate truth and there's relative truth. Okay. So even though I may be that one source, I can also have a relative truth and experience and say, I am not God, and there's only one God, and it's this and that, and it's not me. And so we have to know that's okay. And we honor relative truth, but it's just like gravity. Okay. You cannot believe in gravity, but there's gravity regardless. Okay. Consciousness works very specifically. Spiritual law works very specifically. The ultimate truth is you are source, the truth of who you are. So we have to redefine that identity, which is the I. Now, if you identify and say, I am, who's the I? If your identity is, I'm Dr. Erin, and that's my I, and that's who I am, then yeah, then you could have the experience of not being God, right? But if if I expand my consciousness so much through doing deep soul clearing, lots of meditation, prayer, and really coming into the I am, the pure consciousness, then guess what? I can experience being I am God. You are God. We are God. And so in this, why does this matter so much? The truth is, I can't say it matters to anybody else. What I have to honor is what has been placed on my heart from my highest self, from source, from God. And remembering God is not the original word. Okay. So from source within me, spirit, my true self, my highest self has placed in my heart to speak and live and write and breathe truth. I have been crucified in many lifetimes because we're all lifetimes for speaking truth. And it is just such a privilege and an honor to be able to use technology and be able to use these platforms to be able to speak truth. So I guess the invitation out of this is to look at if you have resistance or not. For some of you, you may be, saying, duh, this is already like normal. I would say there's a lot of people out there that already know this, but they don't say it because they're like, why say it? Because people will just resist it. They can't even have it. Okay. We're in, this time in history it's really like bizarre to think about that people aren't able to still have this. And that's okay. I respect everyone. But if you're somebody that's like, oh, I want to fully experience my oneness with the universe. I want to experience the possibility that I am God, that we are God, that you are God, right? Well, how do you experience that? You've got to do that deep clearing work. You've got to expand consciousness. The individual consciousness is like the constricted, like a filter. But the truth is, we're one with divine. We're one with the one divine mind. We're one with God's source. We're one with all of it. And as we expand out, really, which is expanding in, as we go into every cell and molecule, it's a higher and higher frequency within. And at the very center, there's no frequency because God frequency has no frequency. It's just pure potential. It's allness. It's everywhere, all points in time. And that's called the field. That's called, the quantum field. That's called 0 point field. That's called God source within. So really expanding consciousness and not going out. Expanding consciousness is really releasing the external world and coming into a higher and higher frequency, which is the innermost world. So if you're somebody that's ready to really experience yourself as God, the journey is really releasing all the identity and the identity shifting. How we do that is through regressions through E4. How we do that is understanding all the truth of the universe through spiritual law, understanding and having really great spiritual awakenings due your past life or ancestor trauma, and really being able to understand how consciousness works and experiencing it. E4 is a path to enlightenment. It's not just another trauma process. It's not just another regression process. It's a path to enlightenment for you to understand that you created your own limitations in this room. You created all of life. You created the same source and you created the entire universe. Okay. This is the truth. And so I'm just here for the people that want to reach enlightenment. I don't believe that we need to be, there's masters. You're a master. Jesus taught this. You too will do greater things than I. Okay. So it's like people can be like, how can you be enlightened? You can be enlightened in this lifetime. It is a choice. It takes action. It takes clearing the soul. It takes doing your work. But guess what? This is what enlightenment looks like. I am the Alpha and I am the Omega. And this is absolutely truth. And so in this, let's just take a deep breath together. Just in the spirit to mind treatment, I recognize the universal law of this week. Each week we go through a universal law. You're welcome to grab the calendar below. It's free. You can learn one lesson each week at 11:11 PST. It comes out on the calendar. You can come in here and watch the podcast and get your mind right. This week is the universal law of power. The truth is there's a power within you that is so great it can move mountains. The truth is within you there is a power that is divine, that is all-knowing, all-powerful. It is omnipotent. It is that which has created all of life. In you is the power. It is your job to activate it through expanding consciousness into that divine source and also to demand it, to speak it into existence and command it to come forth, to rise up into who you are. I recognize this and I'm so grateful for that divine power. I am so grateful to know it's not some thing out there and I don't have to become good enough to get it, that I can know within me in the source of releasing everything that's not truth, to come into that truth, to know right here, right now, that I am God, that you are God, that we are God. We no longer have to place it out and be disempowered. We no longer have to look through certain things or go to a particular church. The church is within, the temple is within, the vessel is here. The glory of God is when you are in nature and one with all of life. The glory of God is right here, right now, no matter where you are, to see even the imperfection, that it's all created from one source. Thank you for the suffering. Thank you for the division. Thank you for that, because now I get to experience even more of myself in a multi-dimensional way. I'm saying yes to this, yes to all of it, yes to even the Matrix, this fun game of life, this incredible game of feeling limited, God experiencing itself limited. I say yes to this. It's an amazing relative experience. I'm knowing this great game of God, the hide and seek, and forgetting that you were the one that created the entire game and hiding yourself from yourself. Look no further. It is time, by the power of my word, for the world to reclaim the truth that you are God. I release my word, as together we say, and so it is. And so it is. Okay, you guys, if you're ready to do that deep work, to experience full revelation, full enlightenment, I invite you to come in and do E4. Even though you may not want to turn it into a career, you can come get certified in it. And the reason why we do that is because it takes time. You've got to learn and understand consciousness. You've got to learn how the subconscious works with whatever. If you just went into 3 sessions of E4, you may get a little relief and have some less triggers in an area of your life. But I'm not here to just help people have less triggers. I'm here to help people have full enlightenment. That is what my divine calling is. And I'm here to no longer hold back in my truth. I'm no longer here to hold back in my channeling, my direct contact as an oracle with source. I am not afraid to say this anymore. I will be coming out of the closet more and more in my spirituality. And I just say, I love you. I believe in you. I am you. You are me. I simply know this, as together we say. And so again, you can grab the free calendar below. You can come in and join Society to, get into support in the community. You can still become a founding member before the first of the year. And also you can come in and get certified and do your E4, get in there, get all your self-processing, clear the soul so that you have full enlightenment, full revelation. Have a beautiful, blessed day, you guys, and may you live the truth.